Next up is Dave Hoskin, and he will be doing the What's Up in the January Skies for us. While he's coming down, I'll let members know that his January presentation that you'll see here today is also posted as a separate entity on our website. So you just have to go to the main page and you'll see what's up in the January skies. And away we go.
That's okay. They don't need to see me. Okay, so what's up in the January skies? Hopefully the weather will cooperate and we'll get some clearer skies this month, especially around the time of the new moon. But cross your fingers. Next slide. So the sun this month, the days are getting longer at last. So you can see that sunset at the start of the month was at 4:44 p.m. and by the end of the month it'll be at 5:21. So not quite an hour's difference there. Similarly, sunrise is getting earlier. So we're kind of, I think of this as the sweet spot the next few months. So the nights are still fairly long and dark for observing, but we have some daylight and some sun, so we can make vitamin D and mitigate seasonal affective disorder and all those other things that come from the depths of winter. Next slide, please. So the sun, this is a photo from spaceweather.com that I pulled off the web this morning, and just draw your attention to one particular sunspot, AR3182. So that's the one on the onto the far left, or on the eastern, coming around the eastern limb of the sun. This is one to watch. It's quite a large sunspot. It's already produced a couple X-class flares. There's a 20% chance today that it would produce an X-class flare. So it may, if the weather cooperates and it throws a coronal mass ejection our way as it rotates facing the Earth, we may see some northern lights. The other one to look at is, or keep in mind, is 3181. That one has grown, doubled in size over the last 24 hours, and it's also quite active. And as you can see, it's more or less facing us. Next slide, please. This is an interesting video, which from space weather, which shows the relative sizes of those two sunspots. But if you watch 3181, you'll see that it's been getting bigger. Next one, please. So sun's getting quite interesting if you have a solar filter. If you made a filter at the Nova East, and it looks like we got 2 more days of cloudy, sunny with cloudy periods. So good chance to have a look at our nearest star. A few interesting things regarding the moon. So we just had a full moon, the Tom Cod spawning moon, and moving into last quarter. On January 18th, the moon will be very close to Antares, so that'll be something to see in the early morning if you're an early riser. On the 21st, we'll have the new moon, the snow blinding moon. And soon after that, the moon will be near Jupiter. First quarter, very interesting, easy way to find Uranus. The moon will be very close to Uranus, and I'll highlight that in a minute when we look at the planets. And then on the 30th, the moon will be near Mars. So it's kind of interesting. The start of the month, the moon was near Uranus and Mars, and at the end of the month, it'll be near Uranus and Mars. And the 18th, that's what you'll see if you look in the southeast, low in the southeast around 6 a.m. And you can see the thin very thin waning crescent moon, very close to Antares. That'd be a nice photo op, probably. Next slide, please. As I said, two things to look at on the 28th and the 30th. And if you have the Celestron 15 by 70 binoculars, this is they will frame the views very nicely. Both you'll get Uranus and the Moon in the same view on the 28th, and the Moon and Mars in the same view on the 30th, but a 4.4 degree field of view. This is simulated through Stellarium. As always, the best time to check out features on the Moon around the terminator. You'll see most of them around first quarter on the 28th, and a number of them are required seeing if you're working on your Explore the Universe certificate. Next slide, please. And Lunar X and the Lunar V will be visible on the 28th. For us in Halifax, around 8:37 p.m., you'll be able to see these features on the lunar surface created by the sunlight touching the tops of some raised areas around different craters. And I got this from the dates. Lisa Ann posted a very helpful year-long chart showing the times when the lunar X and the V will be visible. So thanks to that. Thanks, Lisa. The planets in January. Mercury begins very low in the western sky and in the evening, and it very quickly fades. So by middle of the month, you won't be able to see it, but then by mid-month, it'll reappear in the morning sky. On January 30th, that'll be your best time to see Mercury because its greatest western elongation of 25 degrees will take place. So it's going to be furthest from the sun. Yeah. and if you want to, people in Zoom land, if you want to see the slides that I've already gone through, just go to the RASC Halifax website, and the presentations there is a PDF. Sorry, good, Dave? Okay. So as I said, Mercury, have a look for Mercury at the end of the month. It'll be, you have to be an early riser, but it'll be fairly high for Mercury on the 30th of January. Venus is low in the southwest in the evening sky, climbing to a 24 degree elongation by the end of the month, and there's a close conjunction with Saturn on January 22nd. Mars, I'm sure everyone's noticed it, still bright and high in the evening sky, still well worth observing and taking pictures of. And on the 12th of January, there's a nice photo op for people that are interested in wider field imaging. The Mars will be situated between the Pleiades and the Hyades. And it will begin to dim, fading to a magnitude minus 0.3 by the end of the month as it moves farther away from the Earth, opposition having taken place earlier in December. Jupiter is in the twilight sky in the south-southwest, and on the 25th, I've mentioned, it'll be close to the crescent moon. Saturn is pretty hard to see. It's very low in the early evening sky, and by the end of the month, it'll be lost into twilight. But before then, hopefully we'll be able to see its close approach to Venus. Uranus is high in the evening sky, so chance to see Uranus. It's in Aries. And if you know where to look and it's dark enough, the unaided eye will be able to pick out Uranus. Neptune, you need binoculars or a telescope to see, but it is in the extreme northeast part of Aquarius. Next slide, please. So this is what you should look for just after sunset on the 22nd of January. That's the conjunction of Saturn and Venus, very, very close together. I think it'll be, because Venus is so much brighter than Saturn, it may be difficult to get a good picture of the two together showing the features, but you could do a composite. And the almost new moon will also be visible very, very low, a very, very thin crescent. And you're going to be looking in Capricornus. Next slide, please. Next slide, Dave. So it's okay. So this is what I mentioned. You wanted to look at on around the 30th if it's clear. You see how the moon is sitting between Mars and the Pleiades, and the Hyades are just below. So that's a really nice wide field image. Next slide, please. We have the quadrantid meteor shower coming up. Well, actually, it's already happened, and it was cloudy, January 3rd to 4th, so we wouldn't have seen it. We probably didn't miss much. Normally, the shower gives us about 120 meteors per hour at its peak, but there's been a nearly fully illuminated moon. I had the full moon last night, and the previous nights it was pretty bright too, so only the brighter meteors would have been available, visible. But anyone that did have clear skies, hopefully they saw a few fireballs anyway. Next slide, please. This is something to point out that in my montage, I showed an image from BGO that Dave Chapman had requested, and this is the ZTF, and you can see its path through the night sky, and it's getting higher. So be close to by the end of the month, fairly close to, so in between Ursa Minor and Draco, and it should be quite bright. So something to put in your observing calendars. See if you should be able to easily see it with binoculars. And as I said, it may get bright enough to be seen with the unaided eye. At the start of February, it'll be at its closest approach to Earth, 0.28 astronomical units, with an estimated magnitude of 7.3. So just on the border of visibility, the unaided eye at a dark site. But I have seen some predictions that it might reach magnitude 6. So we'll just have to see. Comets are pretty unpredictable. Next slide, please. Okay, so for Explore the Universe, winter constellations, these are 6 constellations to seek out and document your observing. So Auriga, Gemini, Taurus, Orion, Canis Major, and Canis Minor, all seen looking towards the southeast. Next slide, please. Winter stars. Brightest star in the night sky for us, Sirius, is very prominent in a clear sky now. Relatively low, sitting just below Orion the Hunter. And it's worth learning to pick out these particular stars because they're used for SynScan alignments for those of you that have a Skywatcher telescope. Next slide, please. Some deep sky objects. There's 2 of them to highlight this month. One is Kemble's Cascade, which is an asterism. Very, very striking and beautiful asterism even in binoculars. And if you have a telescope, you can zoom in on a open cluster at the bottom of the cascade, NGC 1502. It's pretty hard to miss the Great Nebula in Orion, even in the city. You can pick it out with the unaided eye. And the challenge is to see if you can use your instruments, your telescopes, to pick out the 6 stars that are can be split in the trapezium. So it's pretty easy to see A, B, C, and D. E and F are challenges. So have a look at the trapezium next time you look at Orion. Double stars, Delta Cephei is an interesting one. It's one of the double stars to seek out in the Explore the Universe program. It's a Cepheid variable star prototype. So this is the star upon which a lot of distances, Cepheid variables are used to calculate the galactic distances within the galaxy. It has a period of 5.4 days and quite a pretty star. The Delta Cephei A is a white yellow star, and Delta Cephei C is a blue star. And I took this photo. It was taken not by myself, but by another amateur astronomer, and it was posted online. Next slide, please. If you're looking still on the topic of variable stars, Algol, the demon star, at the end of the month on the 20th, you can see the star go from its maxima to minima and maxima again, all in one night, and still get to bed before 2 in the morning. So again, if it's a clear sky, worth looking at. Another variable star, so the Algol, the demon star, goes from maximum to minima in over about 3.5 hours. So it's an easy one. Another variable star, a Mira type variable star, is Heinz Crimson Star, which is a carbon star, and it varies considerably in brightness from magnitude of 5.5 to 11.7, but it takes many years to see that change. I don't remember exactly how many years, but it was a long time. Next slide, Dave. And that's it for what's up in January skies. There any questions?
Thanks, David. So hopefully the curse of the concrete skies are over.